Note investing due diligence. What is it and how do you do it? We're going to talk about that right now. Hi, I'm Desi Arnaz, professional investor, and when you start looking at notes as a possible investment alternative or even an investment addition to your current investment portfolio mix, then the first thing that comes into mind is, how do you know when you're getting a good note? Or how do you know when to pass on the acquisition of a particular note? Well, that comes down to this. That comes down to knowing how to conduct due diligence. And so I'm going to take a few minutes here today and share with you some ideas about due diligence that should help you in that area. I think you'll find this stuff enlightening and useful. Here's the point that I want to make about due diligence. When I am conducting due diligence, my goal during the due diligence process is to look for problems with the note. Yes, you heard me right. You know, it's easy to put on rose-colored glasses and say, oh, everything's beautiful, everything's wonderful with this note. But that's not the reality. It's possible that there are some problems with this note. And so before you buy it, you want to try and uncover those problems and then assess the problems, look at the solutions, and then decide from there if you should pass or if you should go ahead and move forward. And that's what due diligence is for. The areas that I like to look at when I'm considering buying a mortgage note are the collateral, that would be the real estate that supports the mortgage note. The paperwork itself, that would be things like the mortgage note, and I read it, the mortgage itself, collateral file. I like to look at the pay history and other things like that. And so we'll talk about that here now. To begin with, what I do first when I'm looking at a particular asset, planning to buy it or maybe considering buying it, is I will start by looking at the paperwork. The first thing that I will typically do is I'll read through the promissory note. Once I've read through the promissory note, if I don't see anything in there that has me concerned, for example, I've seen promissory notes that the interest rate in the note is like 0%. I mean, that's a concern for me. I've seen promissory notes that didn't have a late charge listed in there. So that means that a person could pay you late every month and never have any penalty from it. So I look for things like that when I'm reading through the promissory note. The next thing that I'll do is I'll actually read through the collateral document. That would be things like a mortgage or a deed of trust. Now that's normally a pretty long document. Most of those documents are anywhere from 8 to about 15 pages long, all legalese. And so when I read through these documents, I mean, now I have a lot of experience, and so I don't do this. But in the beginning, when I would read through these documents, I'd go through and highlight the things that I didn't understand. And then I would meet with an attorney to have an attorney explain to me what those things are and how they would impact me if I were to buy that note. You do that a couple of times, it may cost you $400 or $500 all total, right? Because most of the time, these attorneys, they'll charge you a couple $100 to consult with you on it. So it may cost you $400 or $500, but you'll become an expert in reading those documents very quickly by talking with attorneys and getting your questions answered. So I'll do that right away. Then I'll take a look at the payment history, because when you're buying a mortgage note, if you're buying a performing note, you want to know, are the people making their payments on time? Or are they paying late? Or do they pay at all, right? Because sometimes people just don't pay. And so you want to know all of that. And so I do look at the payment history. In addition to that, I will also take a look at something called a broker price opinion. A broker price opinion, also known as a BPO, is a written report that is provided by a local real estate agent, and local is the key. You want an agent that is from that neighborhood, that is familiar with that neighborhood, to tell you how much that property is worth. That agent will be an invaluable member of your team if you decide to buy that mortgage note. And so what I will do is I'll find an agent, normally I'll go on Zillow or something like that, and I will look for an agent that's in the same zip code as the property. And then once I find that agent, I'll talk with them and I send them money, I pay them. I ask the agent to give me a broker price opinion. They're the broker, give me an opinion of the price. And I'll pay them for their services. Normally $100 or so is what I'll pay to an agent that provides me with that service. And then if the day ever comes that I need to foreclose and I wind up with this property back in my possession, then at that point I will call the same agent and hire them to sell that property for me. So you'll make a good relationship when you do that. The last thing that you'll want to do is you'll want to take a look at the title report, because when you're buying a mortgage note, you want to make sure that you're in the right lien position. If you're buying a first, you want to make sure you're in first lien position. If you're buying a second or a third, you want to make sure that you're in the right lien position. The title report will tell you that. The title report will also tell you other things as well. It'll tell you lots of information. You can get the chain of title to this property in a title report. You can see how this property has gone from one lender to another, to another, to another, or from one borrower to another, to another, to another, right? And so I like to do that, and I like to make sure there are no breaks in the chain of title. And that's another topic for another day, but those are the kinds of things we look at. If you'd like to learn more about how to conduct due diligence at a higher level, this is really just a high-level view today. But if you're going to be buying notes or seriously considering investing in notes, you'll want to take some more formal training on how to conduct due diligence. And we offer that at the Note Investor University, and you can go to noteinvestoruniversity.com. At the Note Investor University, you can actually enroll in one of the training classes on due diligence. We have basic training, we have advanced training, and we even have a master class on it for those of you that want to learn it all, right? And so that's what I'm going to suggest that you do, but certainly never ignore or take shortcuts on due diligence if you are planning to invest in a particular mortgage note. That would be my advice. It will be a tough lesson to learn. You can make some really big mistakes that could cost you in your investment portfolio, but if you're good at it, you can really position yourself to make some really good yields and really big profits on the mortgage notes because of the due diligence that you did. So I hope you found this helpful and useful. Again, I'm Desi Arnaz, professional investor, and as I said, I invest in mortgage notes. If you'd like to visit my website, just head on over to investbrilliantly.com, and at investbrilliantly.com you can see all the free information that I have there, as well as you can schedule a time with me if you'd like to talk with me about note investing, or you can even find out about my coaching group, where I work with a couple hundred different investors in our group coaching, and also some one-on-one coaching too for people that are interested in that. It will hold your hand right through your first note deal, right, to make sure you do it right. We have all that available, and you can get information about that at investbrilliantly.com. There you go, guys. As I said, I'm Desi Arnaz, professional investor. I am looking forward to seeing you guys around the note business.